Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your great support always. I'm so grateful for your continued support to this channel. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Nakwambia kimeumana. The Donald Trump's government moves to reassess Kenya's designation as major non-NATO ally. It is just barely a year after Kenya became the first sub-Saharan African country to be designated as a major non-Atlantic treaty organization called NATO, of course in United States ally called MNNA. According to now Donald Trump administration, they are now taking steps to reassess the Nairobi's standing, as some questions are coming up where we know very well that Kenya, of course, secured the MNNA status during the William Ruto's state visit to Washington, D.C. in May 2024. So the first such visit by an African head of state in 15 years, during former President Joe Biden's final year. We are being told that the designation was viewed as Washington's way of rewarding Nairobi's counter-terrorism cooperation and its support for Western positions, including its sharp condemnation of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, before you continue, as you always do, ensure you like the video. When you like the video, you automatically support the work that I'm doing in this channel, because sometimes you watch and you forget liking the video. So this is just a reminder. As you watch, please consider liking the video. Thank you so much for that like. Now, when you look at this controversial in between Kenya and the US, however, let me say that this direction or directive, of course, we saw it in August, where the Congressional Amendment tasked U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio with reviewing Kenya's MNA status within 90 days. Now, kuna development story hapa so interesting, you will understand why it is so risky for Kenya and William Ruto's administration. So the development, spearheaded by the US Senator James Risch, comes amid mounting concern in Washington, D.C. over Kenya's deepening ties with China, Russia, and Iran. So the reassessment directive was quietly introduced in amendment to Bill S-2296, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2026, and ordered to lie on the table in the Senate. Now, details of the amendment bill of the review of Kenya's major non-NATO US ally status. Now, the amendment instructs Secretary Rubio, in coordination with the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of the Treasury, and the Director of National Intelligence, to initiate a review of Kenya's non-NATO status, which was granted on June 24th, 2024. Now, according to the amendment, then the review must begin within 90 days of the date of the, of course, enactment of the act. So a classified report will then be submitted to the relevant congregational committees within 180 days. The report is expected to, of course, present findings on several critical areas. Hapa ndio kuna maneno concerning Kenya's foreign and domestic policies. Now, specifically, the report will evaluate Kenya's strategic alignment with the United States, and you saw the senator earlier on claiming they must review the cooperation in between Kenya and the US. And this, of course, in countering violent extremism, its peacekeeping contributions in sub-Saharan Africa and Haiti, of course, and its overall role as US economic partner. There are several issues here. You saw the issue of Haiti, the issue of economic partnership in between Kenya and US, and several cooperation there. Now, focus on, of course, these alignments and internal risks that we understand that is likely to affect the so-called William Ruto's administration and Kenya at large. The review will also scrutinize. These are the effects. The review will scrutinize a military and security engagements with the People's Republic of China, that is number one. Number two, Russia. Number three, Iran. And so it mandates a detailed description of any agreements, joint activities, or political and financial links that Kenya political actors and institutions may have with those nations. It is just the other time you saw William Ruto like shifting his attention from US to China and Russia. In addition, as I finalize, the review will assess Kenya's ties to non-state armed groups and violent extremist organizations, including Al-Shabaab and the Rapid Support Forces. Now, these Rapid Support Forces, you saw what happened in Sudan, where kulikuwa na bunduki zilipatikana with Kenyans logos. Kenyans logos. So I think this is just to tell William Ruto that sometimes in some issues, as the President of the Republic of Kenya, you might not rush to make decisions, but you must consult. There are several consequences. I know some individuals will say, US wakitaka so wakalie huko, you know. But remember, there are some issues that other countries in Africa, they usually see it clearly, and they usually don't want to contradict themselves. William Ruto was a US darling. Immediately he was elected and sworn in the office. He was the US darling. At the moment Kamala Harris was defeated and Donald Trump took over, you saw William Ruto shifting his relationship with the US, now concentrating in China, some part of his time in Russia, and there's something that is now raising some issues and questions, that this NATO status is being reviewed by the United States of America. I know some individuals who do not understand this will come out and rubbish and say, yeah, kuna US wakipenda wakanyage. You'll hear. Yes, at the comment section below. Utasikiza. But there are several repercussions and the consequences behind the scene, which for William Ruto must realize that at any time this must this may be declared as null and void. The non-NATO status that was given to Kenya. What do you think, Kenyans? Drop your opinion at the comment section below. Otherwise, thank you so much because of your great support. Please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this video. Till we meet in another video.